So if you clicked on this video, you're probably thinking, how the hell did anime make you $10,270? Doesn't make much sense to, me, I'm a viewer or whatever. So I'm gonna just explain it. There's a long period of time, about a year, where I made retrospectively no money in online money. In the online money space, I was in the online space. I was trying to make money, but I just wasn't making money. So I was retrospectively just in the online space. And that went on for, as I said, about a year of time. I worked really hard. I was doing everything I could that I thought. And really, when I looked back on it, I've always had like all these different habits. Like I was never just a anime fan or just a video game fan or just a sports fan. At one point, I was a football player who was in the musical, who loved playing football, actively playing as a sport, loved playing basketball, loved watching football, loved watching basketball. I played baseball as well. I loved all forms of video games. I loved really nerdy things. I loved science. I loved math. I had all these different interests, all these different hobbies, all these different things I was doing. And as time went on in my life, even when I, got to the age of being 17, 18, 19, I would still have many things I was doing when I started my business. As many of you, either if you're former clients watching this, if you're new and you don't understand, or just if you previously know who I am, when I was originally starting my business and getting things going, I was also working demolition with my dad, and I was in school. I was in college, and at the time I was a power lifter. I had a girlfriend. I had a ton of friends. I loved anime. I really was watching anime. I was playing video games. I was doing all these things. And over time, I kept seeing these videos pop up on my, just lock in. And it wasn't that I wasn't working hard, but rather what you'll come to find is it's extremely hard to work in many different areas. And in my sort of field, right, maybe one of your vices is alcohol. For me, not really. I rarely, if ever, drink. If you want to consider it, I drink once a month or something like that. If that's a vice to you, then that's a vice. I drink coffee every day. That might be a vice for me, right? But retrospectively, I had so many things I was doing. And now this is the problem that a lot of you guys watching this video right now may encounter, is you don't know, should I start an AI agency? Should I do drop shipping? Should I go to school? Should I become a powerlifter? Should I become a bodybuilder? Should I become a dancer, a TikTok star? What should I do? And the answer to that is simple and it's cut and dry. It doesn't matter what the fuck you do, as long as it can make you money or make you happy, and it's one thing. That's the key. Because imagine this, we all have there's 7 buckets laid out, right? So imagine 7 of these cups, and you have a water bottle, right? And you can pour the water bottle into any of these 7 cups, and once you fill up a cup, it starts overflowing, and that becomes an infinite source, right? And so you logically think, unless you're brain dead watching this, you logically think, well, Dom, I'd fill up the first cup, and I'd fill that up all the way, and then I'd take this cup and I'd start filling up the other cups, and they'd become infinite as well. And so that's how business or any sort of financial things work, is you want to scale one business to the absolute tippity top that you can scale it to. You can't add any more money, and then reinvest that money into other businesses, income streams, passively, actively, whatever it may be, whatever best works for you. And the thing about it is, so many people, they have all these different things. They're either trying so many different business models, have so many different hobbies. Oh, I like piano and I like instruments, but I also like football and I also like sports. And I'm also interested in business as much as I'm interested in school, as much as I'm interested in this. And that's the biggest flaw that kept me back for so long. Me and my partner, even, we were both working jobs. We were both doing, he did Muay Thai and I was doing, I was powerlifting, or at least training like one. And I was in school and he was finishing up school. And on top of that, we had girlfriends, and then we had a business, right? And that really stems from me growing up as a kid. Is, I was watching anime and I was playing sports and I was watching sports and I played all these different video games, and I would hang out with my friends and hang out with all these different people, and as I became more of an adolescent, I'd text all these, different girls and stuff like that. And really, so much time is wasted by having so many different things to focus on. The easiest way to grow your business right now is not to focus on what should I focus on, what should I not focus on. And so the way I made $10,270, my first ever 10K per month, I'll either put that up right here or I'll put that up previous in the video, was simply from just focusing on one thing at a time. No, it wasn't some crazy business scheme. AI agency is the way to go. SMMA is another good way. You know, face value, you need a good business read, like that, right? I put a lot of effort into it and I just got good at it. It was the only thing I did day in and day out. And also the reason why anime brought me here is because my only vice at that time was I was watching an anime show. And for the longest time, and actually scaling to my first 10K per month, all I did is my vice was watch anime. I wouldn't watch it every night. I'd watch it pretty much like on the weekends, occasionally on a weekday, but I wasn't really playing video games. For a couple months, I didn't hang out with my friends besides visiting them like once, right? So I believe in a 5-month period, I visited my friends at school once, and I hanged with them when they came home for a day or two at Thanksgiving. I wasn't talking to any girls, any women at all. Let's see, I didn't even watch much football during that time. I still love football to this day. I had one business model, I had one role in there to sell, and that's all I did. And guess what? I became super good at that. And so that's really all it takes, guys. And I'm just gonna pan over to my model board right here, and I'm gonna show you the lessons I learned from anime, how anime actually made me $10,270 in a month, and go over that with you. Bang! This is the exact step-by-step I did that, I accidentally stumbled my way into making my first 10K per month by watching anime. So the first thing I learned really was the lessons actually from anime. There's a lot of hot debate, and I think anime gets a bad rep because the the thing about it is like a lot of people that are not necessarily successful watch it. But a fun fact even is 52% of open bodybuilders, those type of guys that eat super strictly, train super hard, pretty much some of those disciplined athletic people on earth actually watch anime. So I thought that was a fun statistic to support it. But there's certain lessons that I learned from anime that like actually carry over into business, right? Like for example, Naruto chasing his dream of becoming Hokage. Whether you watch anime or not, just imagine that this guy right here, he used to suck at fucking everything. He really sucked, and he never becomes, spoiler alert, so if you're gonna watch it, then click off. But spoiler alert, he becomes like the best in the show, right? He becomes the strongest person. Pretty typical for most animated characters. And what it taught me was the persistence that I needed because I sucked early on at sales. Like I really was bad. I didn't close my first client for like my first 20 calls. And honestly, I got dismayed at times. But what I learned through watching anime was that pretty much everybody in this, like every successful person that I looked up to, that I attached to as a character, whether it was Naruto, whether it was Rock Lee, whether it was Aaron from Attack on Titan, whoever it may be, they all were very persistent and they all, weren't naturally super gifted or anything like that. But throughout time, they got better and they improved. Same thing with Rock Lee versus Neji, right? Focus beats talent. I wasn't the smartest, but being consistent got me ahead. And consistently showing up day in and day out and putting in that effort, it got me in a better spot than some people who had started earlier than me, who had more natural talent than me, all of the above. And really, like, I'm going to get into this a little bit later, but like to take a risk, guys, like it showed me that you don't need certainty in anything. You just need conviction. You need that belief. You almost need to be like a next level delusion. And these are all lessons I learned from anime. So anime makes these lessons that improve my business stuff like more obvious, and it applies to the business grind, obviously, right? Another thing too is in anime, characters don't wait for the perfect thing; they just kind of move. And so that's the biggest thing is if you're starting an online business, or this is your first time, or second time, and you're righting your wrongs, the biggest thing you guys should take away is you just have to hop in and do it. There's no like perfect setup. You're not going to avoid errors, and you're not going to avoid quote unquote failing. But going along that path, if you stick with it long enough and you go over those things, you will succeed. Luffy in One Piece sets sail without a map. Goku fights all the times for battles he's not ready for. And the real big takeaway is you don't grow before you start, you grow because you start. So if you're watching this video, if you're overthinking and you haven't taken that first step, or maybe you failed and you're scared to take a step again, I do have a mentorship just to walk you through everything. It is free, link in bio, everything like that. But of course, I can't mentor you into taking that first step. So that's the most imperative thing is guys just take that fucking first step. It's not that scary, you know? It's really not that scary. You guys have if you're watching this video and you're trying to start a business, you have nothing right now. You have nothing to lose, everything to gain. So take everything and leave nothing. You get that? You get that? So just go out at it and fucking do it, you know? That's really all I have to say about that one. And it's something I learned from anime. And I guess like outside of all these lessons, the most important thing I learned from anime, and really the big kicker for this video here is it became sort of my only vice. Is I didn't have many friends I hanged out with at that time besides my business partner. As I said earlier in the video, I only hanged with like one person. You know, I visited my friend at college, and my friend came home from school over one of the breaks. And so I want to say from September until end of March, there was 2 to 3 times I hanged out with my like friends, like 2 to 3 stints, so to speak. So obviously, in the grand scheme of things, with well over with almost 200 days plus in that stretch, maybe a week of time was like days where I'd worked and then hang with friends or just hang with friends overall. So I didn't have that. During that time, I was celibate. I didn't even get with a girl or anything like that. Um, I didn't text any girls really. I didn't play video games during that time. I started playing video games again only towards the end of March. And obviously very infrequently. Like I play once a week max, sometimes once every couple weeks. So during that stretch of time, I really did nothing. And going into hitting my first 10K per month, the only thing I ever really did was every once in a while I watched an anime. It was actually when I was finishing the Naruto Shippuden. And so instead of just like quitting everything cold turkey, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep one thing that relaxes me. And when I turned on anime, I would get into that chill state. But the important part is it wasn't so, dopaminergic. And I didn't get like a reward from it. Those two factors alone. It was just something that I'd turn my brain off and I'd get inspired. So I'd literally work and then when I'm not working, I'm getting inspired. And I liked watching the story arcs, the characters, and seeing their consistency. And so the lesson here is like, don't beat yourself up over distractions. Reframe them and pull value out of them. One and two, if you have a vice, that's fine, but it's one vice. You know, if you want to hang with your friends on the weekend, go do that. If it's I'm on the weekends, I love hanging with my friends. If on the weekends you're like, oh man, I love just like on a Sunday sitting down watching a Netflix show, then do that. If that's what you have to do to turn your brain off and to truly relax and to truly get away, that's cool. But you don't want to have, I watch Netflix, I play video games, I drink, I smoke, I do all these crazy things because when I limited my distractions, that was how I turned up to 10K per month. Like how I immediately hit 10K per month was just turning off every single distraction that wasn't business. And the only thing that was somewhat of a distraction, but in my opinion was slightly beneficial, was anime. And so that's really exactly like every single lesson. Anime taught me a ton of lessons, and it really got me in the position where it was the only thing I did outside of business. So if you're watching this video right now and you wanted one sentence takeaway from the video, turn off all distractions, besides one, cut everything else out.